You've got something. It's fucking toothpaste, isn't it?
It's not toothpaste.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Won't Grow Up podcast with me, Kat Bison.
Me, Liam Underwood.
And we took some time trying to decide what we were going to talk about, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I came up with a genius idea.
Yeah.
So this week we're going to be talking about our idols.
Idols.
The people that we idolise.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. They can be celebrity
Yeah.
or not celebrity.
Yeah. Well, you told me about this on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then I promptly forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything prepared.
I have a small amount prepared, but I
Okay.
feel like let's just go with it organically and see what happens.
And if you know, sometimes when we do this, it weaves and twists and we go off track a little bit.
Well, no one's
That's
got time for
okay.
that.
That's okay.
No, we're going to talk about our idols.
You want to?
Okay. So you want me to go first then?
Yeah.
I suppose I have done more preparations. That makes sense.
And it was your idea.
So the thing that made me think of this topic was something that I saw on Twitter. There's this tweet doing the rounds that's basically saying, like, share good celebrity stories off the back
Yeah,
of
I
all this
saw that.
Hollywood scandal.
Yeah, all the naughty Hollywood men.
Yeah, all those naughty men that are arseholes.
We
But
disapprove.
Anyway, we do. Anyway, this tweet asking for these experiences that people had with celebrities, there was one that was basically starting to go viral, and it was this woman whose mum had died and she was sat in this cafe crying, and Robin Williams came over
Yeah, I saw
and
this one.
basically like said everything was going to be okay and paid for her coffee and everything. And that really reminded me of how hard it hit me when he died.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I never met him. He didn't have a clue who I was or anything like that, but I
But
grew
he
up.
still, like, impacted your life.
Yeah, I grew up with Robin Williams. I grew up watching his movies and just finding him the funniest person on the planet.
What was your favourite movie of his?
Do you know what one that sprung to my mind first, and I'm not sure if it was my favourite, but it was the most sort of like, I don't know, it was very him, I thought. Oh shit, I get it mixed up with another film that's a similar storyline.
Okay.
I think it was called Jack.
Yeah, that's him.
That's the one where he like has this sort of, what was it? Some sort of condition that.
Well, he ages quicker than
Yeah.
he should or something. Yeah.
Thanks for stepping in there. When you saw me struggling, I was like, I can't remember.
I haven't seen the film. It's just I know that the
Yeah.
poster of it is like him dressed
Yeah.
as a schoolboy.
Yeah.
So I
It's
was
just
assuming that was
From
it.
what I remember, it's a really lovely film. But I love loads of his films. Mrs. Doubtfire.
I remember,
Aladdin.
like after the news broke, I brought a load of his films.
Yeah.
But I just haven't been able to bring myself to watch them.
Well, we did
We
watch
watched
one
one.
of them.
Yeah, but you
and
cried.
that was particularly horrible. We made a terrible choice because we saw The Birdcage.
Yeah.
Which is a great film. I'm so glad that it held up after the many years that I've watched it. I just love it. But he says something in it that is basically, it says something like he's going to kill himself. And it was just horrible to watch. And I was like, we've made a terrible decision watching this. And then
Yeah.
I had to have a little cry about it.
Yeah, you did.
But I just idolised him because he was just consistently so funny.
I think not only was he good in movies and stuff, but it's also really interesting watching him do interviews
Yeah.
and how he just like
I love how he used to derail interviews like completely, and he'd start doing accents, impressions and
Yeah.
everything.
he seemed to be one of those people that would just fill a room.
Yeah. But he was also very good at the serious stuff as well. Like, I
Yeah.
have to admit, I wasn't a big fan when I watched 1 Hour Photo, but I did really like his performance in that.
Yeah, or obviously Good Will Hunting.
And yeah, Good Will Hunting too, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Robin Williams, definitely one of my idols. Not necessarily.
So what is it about him? Is there like a specific thing about him that you idolise?
Well, I was about to say, usually when you idolise someone, it's because you want to kind of follow a similar path with their career or whatever. But I just idolise the way that he could make light in any situation.
Yeah.
He could make anybody laugh at any time. And it's really sad now reflecting on that to know what was going on in the background.
Yeah.
But he was just so funny and just seemed like a really genuinely nice person.
And he was
well.
really hairy too, which I quite like seeing someone that kind of, you know, and they went through a similar thing, like
dealing with all that hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was a lot hairier than you are.
He was, but it's not competition.
Fair enough.
And also, he was older than I was. Give me another 10 years,
Yeah,
I
that's
might
true.
be that hairy too.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. So, Robin Williams.
Good choice.
Yeah. Well, let's throw the gauntlet over to you now that you've had time whilst I've rambled to think about your first idol.
Well, we should probably get the obvious one out of the way.
Oh, here we go.
Because everyone's going to be waiting for it.
Right.
So let's not keep them in.
Yeah, come on.
Zac Efron, obviously.
So what is it that you idolise about Zac Efron?
I think it's how he has kind of approached his career in a way that it seemed like he's been very aware of not being pigeonholed, and he's made very conscious efforts to not do, like, he'll do like 2 or 3 films in a row of playing like a similar character, and then it's almost like he's like, I don't want to be known for just this one thing, and then he'll completely pivot, which I quite like. So obviously he kind of shot to fame with High School Musical. He did Hairspray, I believe, between High School Musical 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get known just as, like, you know, that musical kid. So pivoted and started doing other roles that weren't necessarily musical based or whatever. Then, like, recently, you obviously had Bad Neighbours, or just Neighbours in other parts of the world. Like Baywatch, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Like, again, he had this frat bro kind of character.
Yeah.
And already it's, you know, he's been announced as being cast in like a Ted Bundy film next year.
I know, I'm really excited for that because I've not seen him do serious, really.
Yeah, so again, it just, to me, it feels like anytime he's starting to get pigeonholed, he takes a step back.
And says, I'm going to try this other thing.
Yeah, and I kind of really, like that.
It's an interesting approach because most people don't vary up their career that as much.
Yeah,
exactly. They'll do like a franchise as an example, and then they'll do a shit ton of indies. Like classic being Daniel Radcliffe. It's like he wanted to get away from that Harry Potter image, so he probably will never touch a franchise again.
Yeah.
Whereas I think an actor like Zac Efron would be like, right, I'll take a break from that for a while, but I'm never going to turn my back on it.
Exactly.
I'm just going to try other stuff.
Yeah, like he's in a musical that's coming out, so it's not like
why you're doing that.
It's not like it's not like he's, you know, he's shunned it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think he's at a stage now where he's like, well, I'm not going to be associated as just doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I understand both tacks. Like, I understand why Daniel Radcliffe would be like, I don't want to do that again because it was such a huge thing. Maybe it was more of a personal decision.
Yeah.
Whereas with Zac Efron, he, you know, he's not turning, I mean, he might be turning some things away for all we know, but
oh yeah, he's probably turning a lot away,
but in terms of like genre and stuff, the fact that he's willing to go and do a Ted Bundy
if
film,
you even look at someone like The Rock, who I really like The Rock.
I'm surprised. Well, he's probably coming later on.
He might be, but you look at the movies he gets.
Yeah.
He gets very samey roles each time. You know.
Maybe Zac Efron just has a really good agent.
Quite possibly. I don't know. But yeah. So that's also, you know, he's sort of my age-ish. He's a couple of months older. He was born October 18th, 1987. I was December 21st, so there's like 2 months in it.
Yeah.
And I just look at kind of what he's done with his like 30 years on this planet versus what I've done.
He's had a very different life to you.
He has, but I kind of idolise the fact that, you know, the what he's made of his life.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in his position, they kind of come from a similar sort of background.
Yeah.
Where they...
Well, the other thing, right...
Was he a Mouseketeer?
I don't think he was, but obviously he made his name in Disney movies, right? And I know he was in a couple of like the Disney Channel like TV programs and stuff. He had like small roles and whatnot. He popped up. And not many like kids seem to get out of the other end of that and make a successful career. Like, you look at literally
Especially
anyone
one
else.
that's as varied as his is.
Yeah,
as well.
like, look at anyone else in the High School Musical franchise. None of them have the same sort of career that he has.
True.
So yeah, I just, and also he's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
I love him.
I love him.
We know, everybody knows how much you love Zac Efron, and if you didn't, you do now.
He's my favourite.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your next idol?
My next idol is probably Emma Stone.
Okay.
And not just driven by the fact that we watched Battle of the Sexes the other night.
And that you love La La Land.
And I love La La Land. And I just really like... I like her as an actress. I think she's really versatile. And again, she's done quite a few different things.
Yeah.
She's come from, you know, doing things like Superbad.
Yeah, Easy A.
Easy A.
Zombieland.
Yeah. Okay. IMDb. To now doing these really, like, more dramatic films, and I think that La La Land was always going to be like a risky type of role.
Yeah, but I think because she did it so well,
yeah,
you know, got an Oscar out of it, I feel like that's probably opened up a lot of opportunities for her now.
Yeah.
I almost wonder, like, people that maybe would have dismissed her, all they would have to do is watch that audition scene in La La Land to be like,
I love
oh no,
that scene.
this girl is like amazing.
Yeah. I love that scene.
Yeah.
But I also, from sort of interviews and stuff that I've heard her doing, she's just really interesting to listen to.
She's quite open as well.
She's very open and also very down to earth.
Yeah, like, she's talked about having her anxiety in interviews and how that kind of...
And I really respect that
her,
because it's something that should be talked about, but it should also especially be talked about in that industry, because people assume if you're an actor or an actress or, you know, whatever,
very outgoing and all that
you
sort of
wouldn't
stuff.
have those sort of mental health issues. But
Yeah.
it just, by people like her opening up about that, makes people realise that anyone can have them.
Yeah.
And I just think that she uses her platform really well. She doesn't get too preachy or anything. She knows how to talk about a serious topic, but it can also be quite funny in interviews. And I can imagine she's the sort of person that you'd want to be friends with.
Yeah, I imagine she'd be a good laugh.
Yeah.
I think like Margot Robbie as well.
Yeah.
Would be a good laugh. Like,
Maybe.
just seeing her in interviews and stuff, she seems
I haven't really
quite
watched
fun.
as much of her sort of interview stuff. I like her as Harley Quinn though.
Yeah, she's good in other stuff too.
I'm sure she is. She was good in Wolf of Wall Street, but she was
in
it a
very,
lot.
yeah, very small part.
But she was good in that part. I
Yeah.
can't think of anything else I've seen her in, so... What was that look? Just this nod and look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my next one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go... And again, it's kind of career-focused, I've realised.
Right.
But I'm going to go with Alicia Malone.
Yeah.
Who, for those that maybe aren't aware, because this is a bit more obscure, she is a film critic.
Yep.
And she also works a lot with this film label called the Criterion Collection, which specialise in kind of what's considered like the classic cinema and that sort of stuff. So she works with them a lot, and that was always like her dream, was to work with them, because she grew up on classic films.
Yeah.
And I think, I might be a little bit wrong, but I believe her career kind of started in Australia, where she's from. She was working on like a breakfast type morning show, and somehow ended up in LA, essentially doing this, like, not like a huge film critic either. She'll do a lot of the internet shows, like Screen Junkies and that kind of thing. So I just find it really interesting how she's managed to kind of direct her career into this path that she really wanted.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that maybe because she had such a specific idea of what she wanted to do,
Yeah.
she knew, or, I mean, maybe she didn't, maybe she muddled through it, but I would assume that she knew what path to follow to get to that point.
Possibly. I don't know. She has like her own YouTube channel, and she seems quite active, especially again after all of this like Hollywood stuff that's happened. she's really outspoken about kind of making it a better, safer place for women to work, which I think is important.
Yeah.
So I really like her values. I like that she's a big supporter of independent film, which is often very easily overlooked. And she doesn't seem to kind of be that into like the comic book movie side of things, which is nice to have a perspective that isn't just always talking about the next big Marvel or DC. And yeah, she had a book that came out this year which was called Backwards and in Heels, which is all about the like unsung female heroes of like the film industry, starting from when it really first started.
I love that title.
Yeah, and it, you know, it's just I don't know. I really like how kind of into her like morals and stuff, like, and how that ties into her career, if that makes sense.
You're very gesticular today. I just noticed like all this hand movement. But yeah, I agree. I also really like her, like how down to earth and approachable she seems on her vlogs and stuff that I've seen. Definitely. Like, I can imagine if you were like at a film event and you saw her, you could go over and say hello or whatever. Yeah. But,
and she like gets to go to a lot of the film festivals, which I'm just super jealous about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, that was my next one. I have realised that there were two like quite career-driven ones though, so I'll try and think of someone that isn't necessarily career-focused.
Well, mine have been more like personality focused. Like the two so far that I've kind of idolised have been people that they have traits, like personality traits that I appreciate in a person and like look up to in a person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is my third and final idol.
Are we only doing 3?
Well, I've only got 3.
Okay.
You can do as many as you like, within reason. My final idol is also quite obscure, and it's because she's my favourite blogger.
Oh, I know what's coming.
Hannah Gale.
Yeah.
She's like the queen of blogging.
Yeah, and you love blogging.
Yeah, I do love blogging, but I really like her content. I really like how down to earth she is, but also like how varied her content is, but it's always consistently good.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, like, I like the content I produce, but when I read her content, I'm like, man, that's the sort of stuff that I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always the topics, because she also does a lot of fashion, which isn't really my bag, like, at all, if you couldn't tell. But she just, she can make that content interesting to me, which is really saying a lot. And also because she's managed to essentially, her background was in journalism. She was working for, like, mostly within online journalism, worked at the Metro and a couple of other publications, and she went from that and then just took the risk one day and was like, I think she quit her job, she moved out of London, and then she wrote this post, and I think it was to do with something to do with living in London or something, and that post at that point went mental. Like, went viral, and it just, the timing of that is just mad. Like, how she made this big decision and then was like, I'm going to write this, and then that is essentially, she still gets like a shit ton of traffic from that. Yeah. And she's got a really loyal following of people that read her blog consistently, like I do.
Maybe when you're promoting this video, give her a little tag in it, and she might retweet it and we'll get a load of viewers. You never know.
No pressure, Hannah, but if you could, that'd be great. Yeah. But yeah, she seems like the sort of person that I'd get on really well with as well. And yeah, she's
I think it's interesting. I think almost like a part of being popular on the internet is to have at least to convey an image of being accessible.
This is where I think the downfall is going to be for big vloggers and bloggers and people that are becoming less and less accessible because of their success. Yeah. A classic being Zoella. Like, she'll always have, like, well, I say always, the fan base that she has at the moment are mostly sort of tweens. Like, you know, they're young, impressionable people. And they really like how she comes across, how she's really sort of bubbly and blah, blah, blah. But she lives in a fucking mansion. Yeah. Right? Once those tweens grow up.
But do you think a part of them isn't necessarily the relatability now, but it's more the, if she could do it, I could do it, and I want to be living that lifestyle now. Not that it's relatable, it's just I want to live in a mansion and essentially get lots of money for just making YouTube videos.
I guess so. There's that angle, and that's probably very true. She does have a huge following. I don't get it at all, but maybe that's because I don't have those aspirations.
I wouldn't mind living in a mansion.
Well, I wouldn't mind living in a nice big house or whatever, but I wouldn't want to do it by creating YouTube videos.
Oh, I honestly wouldn't mind how I did it.
You're not fussy.
No, if anyone wants to pay me to do whatever.
But there has, going back to sort of talking about like the sort of content that Hannah creates and other bloggers like her create, that is having a big like rise at the moment.
Yeah.
People are moving away from like glossy content that looks like it's come out of a magazine, and they're going more towards, I don't think they'll ever go towards sort of it basically like new blog content where you've not quite aced your photography yet and whatever else, but
there has to be like a level that you have to attain for.
And I think, you know, I feel like most bloggers will always feel like they're working towards that. And the dream for most bloggers is probably to get to that level where you don't have to then keep progressing more. Like you get to a level where you're creating consistently good content and you're not having to compete with so many other bloggers. But she just comes across as really well, and like none of all the boring like politics behind it matters, which is cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Those are my 3 idols.
I mean, if you think of any more while I'm talking, then you can have more.
That's nice, but my mind is blank and I'd rather just listen to you talk about your idols.
Well, funny you should say that, because my next one is going to be Kevin Smith, who film director, but that's not necessarily what I idolise about him.
It's not what I would idolise about him.
No, what I'm going to go for is how eloquent and passionate he is, and how he can just talk and tell a story that's engaging and interesting, and he can essentially just talk for like 30 minutes straight, and it's fascinating, and it's funny, and like he just seems to know how to verbally communicate like a really interesting, or not even necessarily doesn't have to be that interesting, but he can make a story interesting in the way he presents it.
Yeah, he's really good to listen to, because we obviously went to see him record his podcast live a few months ago now, was it? And just, like you say, hearing him talk about stuff is just so engaging. Yeah,
exactly. I do like the whole film career of his, don't get me wrong, like he started super independent, and essentially he just wanted to make a film with his friends.
Yeah.
And that's kind of...
He's kind of maintained that most of the time. I know that he... Cop Out, was it? I would probably say that was a example of maybe just slightly selling out.
Like there's a anecdote that he tells where one of the big like Hollywood producers turned around to him and was like, Kevin, you realise that making movies isn't about spending time with your friends. And he was like, but that's why I do it.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know, he's managed to kind of meld like his friendships and his kind of professional career together to produce like what I find interesting content. And that's even like trickled onto his podcast and all that sort of stuff that he does. So yeah, I'm going to go with Kevin Smith as my next one.
Yeah.
There's loads though. Like the more I think about it, like the more people I think of for various reasons.
It's weird because I'm having the opposite. Like I genuinely can't think of any others.
Well, what about like Philip DeFranco?
I don't idolise.
See, what I idolise about him is how he essentially, probably like Zoella, right? But in a...
I mean, I don't... Let's make it clear, I do not idolise Zoella.
He probably started like Zoella, but took a very different path, right? Where... So he essentially did start making videos in his bedroom. But instead of going down that, I'm going to buy a mansion, I'm going to do this sort of... I'm going to make shit advent calendars... What he's done is he's created a business where he has people that he employs.
I respect his sort of like business mind.
That's the thing I idolise.
That's not how my brain works. Like I would probably say that I have a more creative mind and don't like thinking about all the logistics
Yeah.
behind that.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing that I idolise is how he has kind of gone business first, to the point where he's always said, like, if YouTube doesn't work for him, he's not worried because he has other avenues that he could go down.
Yeah.
And I just
Which
feel
must be
like
nice.
I feel like it's just a very smart kind of business approach to what he does.
Yeah, because if you think of some of the biggest YouTubers, imagine, right, if YouTube just like no longer existed.
Which is feasible considering how expensive it is to maintain.
Yeah,
like that
100%.
amount of video content being stored somewhere isn't cheap.
And I mean, they obviously make a lot of money too, which is why they are where they are. But imagine if that platform was just gone, and like, sure, someone else could come up with something else, but you would essentially still have to build yourself up from the beginning again.
There's no current competitors to YouTube, I don't think.
No, that's what I mean. Like, if someone was to develop it, maybe somebody isn't because they're like, well, YouTube's such a success, what's the point?
Yeah.
If it was to go and someone developed something new, you'd still have a hell of a lot of work to get yourself to the level that you were before. And if you don't have a backup, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're all out of idols now?
Yes, how many times?
I don't know, maybe you'd have come up with another one. I don't know.
No, nothing. No more.
No?
Those are my 3.
Okay. Well, I don't want to do any more because...
You're more than welcome to do more.
We'll be here all day.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Ellen Page, that's another one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I idolise how, like, she's very much sort of like what we were talking with Zac Efron, where she has done franchises. She almost has there's this kind of like film work kind of ethic where it's like one for the studio systems and then one for yourself. So you'll do like a big franchise movie and then you'll go do like an indie movie. You essentially use the money that you took from the franchise movie to fund doing like a little indie movie that's a passion project. And I feel like
back to being business minded again.
Yeah, like she was in like the X-Men franchise, but you think like she kind of made her name really with something like Juno, which got a lot of Oscar buzz.
Yeah.
And she's done a lot of indie movies kind of throughout the years, while also dipping her toe into the big like X-Men type movies.
Yeah, and then you've got the sort of in-betweeny ones like Flatliners.
Yeah.
And stuff, which admittedly wasn't very good. But...
And I think she handled her coming out, and now she's like a huge advocate for like LGBTQ rights and all that sort of thing. Like she's very kind of well spoken about that sort of stuff. She's
not the sort of like angry sort of feminist. She's the sort of feminist and sort of person that, you know, talks about those LGBTQ plus issues.
Yeah.
There are some other like letters in there, but I don't remember what they are. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so I'm going to go with her for more like that kind of aspect of it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I've got an idea.
Okay.
I don't know how well you're going to take this. But seeing as I've exhausted all my idols and we don't want to go on all day about yours.
You could have mentioned me.
This is where I'm going.
Okay.
This is where we're going. I thought we could say what we idolise about each other.
Good luck.
Your belly just made a gurgle.
This is lunchtime.
Yeah. What I idolise about you, and I've said it to you before, so I'm not going to struggle, is how you can kind of like...
My good looks.
No. Why would I idolise your looks?
How I just
I
make
don't want to look
this...
like you.
No, it's how I make the effortless look just work. No?
No.
Okay.
What I was going to say is what I idolise about you is that you don't take things too seriously and that you can make light of most situations.
Yeah.
Which is obviously quite alien to someone like me that gets like anxious about stuff and
it's
serious
weird
about things.
It's weird that that's what you idolise, considering how often that's sort of a cause of contention.
No, not always.
But sometimes you'll be like quite stressed or something, and then I'll make light,
Yeah,
and I get the death glare.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is about the times when you can kind of cheer me up in a situation.
Right, yeah. When it works in your favour.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Not when it's just me telling jokes that I'm finding quite funny and you're just getting more and more annoyed.
Because that's just selfish, whereas the caring element is when you can kind of make light of a situation when I feel like I need that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you probably do that for, say, your mum as well in those sorts of situations. And you're just a caring person that wants to make light of things to make them easier to deal with. Yeah. And that's what I idolise.
Well, the world is a terrible place, so, you know, just don't think about it. Great. Distract yourself with little comedy bits. Sure, okay.
Your turn.
So what I idolise about you.
Yeah.
So I think beyond just like the sheer amount of stuff you do like around the house, like the cooking, the cleaning, the washing up, like which
I'm an excellent woman.
Let's be fair. I'll pitch in and help to a degree,
right?
But like if we were to break it down into percentages, you probably do like 70 and I might do 30.
This is where this was going.
No. I'm just saying, like, so there is that aspect.
Brilliant.
Right.
I make an excellent housewife.
Yeah, but what you got to let me get to what I'm trying to say.
Fucking get there then, Jesus
On
Christ.
top of all of that, so despite doing that, like essentially in your free time, how motivated you are with your business.
Yeah, well, I have to be.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's sort of like, we might mention this when we discussed you going freelance, but it's why I was so confident in supporting you do it, because I knew that you'd put everything into making it successful.
I'm basically a workaholic.
Yeah. Exactly. To a degree, like you do have your like limits where you're like, okay, I've done a day of work, shut it down. It's not like you're working every hour of the day, but that's because you know you've got all of the house to start tidying once you finish work. Got dinner to cook. Haven't you?
Fuck you.
No, I cooked the steak last night.
Oh, are we going down this avenue? The percentage of housework I do compared to you.
No, we're not. I'm just saying, what I'm saying, I think you're missing my point.
Right.
I'm saying, not only do you have this amazing, like, work ethic,
right,
but on top of that, you also help out just around the house. Like, it's not like everything is focused on work for you.
I just focus on lots of different things.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, like even, like, not just necessarily work stuff, but then you've got, like, the way you approach your blog and your blogging, and you're very disciplined in kind of making the time to do that, things, editing this podcast and uploading it.
Doesn't really take a lot of editing though.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, there's a lot that you do in a day
that you wouldn't.
I'm just like, I've got movies to watch, I've got video games to play.
This is the thing, this is where we differ, because you see that stuff as being productive, whereas I feel the stuff that I do, like the work, like doing the work, tidying, sorting stuff out.
I mean, I'm going to be honest.
That's productivity to me.
Yeah, like, I don't necessarily see it as productive, but I see it as relaxing. Like that's how I really chill out and unwind.
Oh, I find blogging relaxing. Yeah. I don't find working or housework or anything like that relaxing. Blogging and reading comics and stuff like that are the things that I find relaxing. Or watching TV shows.
I need a lot of like me time where I'm just doing things that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Whereas you need a lot less of that.
I don't know about that. Like, I think I would get bored if I had too much me
That's
time.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I would never get bored. You could say to me, have a year off work and don't leave the house, and I could be happy.
Just be like, I need to go outside.
Yeah, you'd last maybe 2 days. I'd be happy for the whole year.
Optimistic.
Yeah. So yeah, but I you know, your work ethic.
Thanks. I guess we should probably call it a day.
Yeah, unless there's anything else you want to idolise about me.
No, that'll do.
What do you idolise in your life?
Oh, wow.
Who do you idolise might be better.
Yeah.
Who do you idolise? Why do you idolise them? I kind of idolise Bailey a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Bailey is my mum's dog. And he just has the greatest life ever. Really.
It's a pretty good life.
Like, he's just...
I mean, except for all his allergies and all the injections.
Yeah. But he's not even really aware of that. He's dumb.
Oh, maybe.
He's so dumb. He just sleeps all day.
He's pretty dumb.
and then he just gets fed, and he's just so happy all the time, isn't he?
Yeah.
Unless like I'm trying to give him cuddles and kisses, and he don't want that, then he's not so happy. But what can you do?
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Did we have any correspondence?
No.
Why don't you write to us? Leave a comment down below.
Or email us, wontgrowuppod@gmail.com.
Or tweet us.
At wontgrowuppod.
Done.
Probably enough now.
Yeah. People come to see me, not you.
No.
That's not true.
I don't come to see either of us because they don't come.
Because you don't promote it.